right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday and our Penfolds tasting. Just had down at Michael Mina's new strip steak in the Fontainebleau Hotel was outstanding. These guys do a great job down there, and a lot of wines, a lot of wine service for this one. But like I said, these guys do not miss a beat. The food also very expertly paired with the different wines we had. And D. Lynn Proctor, a historian on the Penfolds wineries, always learned something when I listen to him. Like with the Riesling, I didn't realize they've been making that in screw cap since the 60s. Wow, these guys are now leaders in screw cap technology in Australia, and even their top level wines from Grange, they've been experimenting with like Grange for the last 30 years in screw cap. The Bin 51, 2014 vintage we started out with. I love this wine. It's more of a drier style of Riesling, some nice crisp citrus lime on the nose with some fresh green apple, a lovely freshness to this wine. I like whetstone kind of minerality coming through on the finish, but an excellent little aperitif to start with. The Bin 311 Chardonnay from Tambaramba up next, and their Chardonnay from southern Australia here down near Melbourne. The vineyards are, and this is a really fresh and bright style of Chardonnay. Lovely lemon citrus here, some apple fruit, and a nice hint of vanilla spice. You know, they used to have quite a bit of oak. These Chardonnays were quite a bit heavier, very buttery. Today they're going for a more Burgundian approach, and this wine went great with a little crudo that we had, the salmon crudo. Absolutely lovely, refreshing. And the Bin 389, the Baby Grange up next. We had that alongside the 407, and that's the only problem the 407 had. You know, to me, the 389 was much better. I love Shiraz. I love, if you're going to Australia, you know, Shiraz to me is intimately more interesting, usually infinitely more interesting than Cabernet. But when you blend them together, and this Bin 389 is often referred to as the poor man's Grange or baby Grange, in part because, well, they use the oak that they used in previous vintages of Grange. Made for the first time in 1960 by legendary Max Schubert. This wine's helped build Penfolds' reputation among red wine drinkers, and this wine's got nice structure, a lot of juicy red berry and plum fruit on the nose, and some nice licorice spice. A lovely silky texture to this wine, a lovely richness, but still wonderful freshness here, and to me, better balance than the 407. The 407s had a more dryness to it, like a bitter cocoa and tobacco, and still had some dark currant berry fruit, and you know, really solid. And it was launched in the 1990 vintage. Bin 407 was developed in response to increasing availability of high-quality Cabernet to the Penfolds group, and of course they make the legendary 707. 407 is kind of a baby 707, and this wine also has the ability to age. It's got nice structure, nice freshness, and to me, I just like the 389 better, sitting side by side. And then the next two wines up, the McGill Estate Shiraz and the RWT. The McGill Estate, one of the only single vineyard wines they make at Penfolds, and it's the original plantings there right around the vineyard in Adelaide. And this wine had a lovely structure to it, a lovely finesse. 2010, a drought year in Australia, so these wines had a lovely firmness and a lot of acidity. The fruit here, it's starting to come out a little bit, need a little bit of coaxing, but this wine needs about 10 years in the cellar here. The McGill Estate 2010, wonderful structure. The RWT, a little more forward, a little more seductive here, a little richer. RWT was created, the name is Red Wine Trial, so there's only been 4 winemakers at Grange, of course, Max Schubert, Don Ditter, and then our good friend John Duvall, who created RWT. And this wine is kind of like the version of Grange that's fermented in new French oak. So top-level Shiraz. It's been predominantly Barossa in the past, but you could get Shiraz from all over South Australia in the blend here. This wine, sheer power, lovely intensity, lovely richness, and definitely a little different in style than the Grange. The Bin 169, this is the first time I've had this wine. It seemed like a much bigger 407, a very rare cuvee of Cabernet Sauvignon that they do at Penfolds in 2010. A lot of structure here. This wine needed some time to open up, but definitely built for the ages of wine you want to cellar for 10 or 20 years. Had that nice black olive, tapenade, Provençal herbs, kind of really old world style Cabernet Sauvignon. A little bit hint of eucalyptus, minty spice in there as well to the dark currant berry fruit. The 2009 Grange, this is, well, we previewed it last year at our event in July. We always showcase the new vintage of Grange. D-Lin's coming back for that this year. It's on Friday, July 17th. We'll show the 2010 vintage. This wine's got a little bit of Cabernet in it, 2%, as in all vintages other than 3 have had Cabernet in them. It spends 18 months in 100% new American oak. It's got a variety of different vineyard sources from Barossa, McLaren Vale, Clare Valley, and the McGill Estate also. This wine is a little monster. A little more elegant style of grain, still amount of good dark and red cherry fruit, highlights of mocha, fresh flowers, licorice, really well-endowed bouquet, even bigger on the second day. I didn't get to try this model on the second day. We had the event out at Michael Mina, but we had it last year, and I had it sitting on my desk for a day, and this wine really needs some time. Big and chewy, but again, ripe brown tannins. This wine's a more drinkable style, a more elegant style of Grange. It should drink well its whole life, but needs a little bit of time in the bottle, as most Granges do. This wine will last 30 years easily. Most excellent juice in it. $6.75 on sale. It should be. The Grandfather Port, one of my favorite dessert wines, and every time we show this wine, people just fall in love with it. It dates back to 1915, where an oak cask containing the finest blend of available tawny material was set aside for exclusive use of the Penfolds family, and this cask was known as Grandfather due to the age of the oldest tawnies in the blend. And this wine's got a lovely nutty character, dates, figs, brown spices, and a lot of freshness still to this wine too. Wonderful sweetness here, dried fruit, brown spice, and still a firm hand of acidity. This is a wine that you could keep open for several months, and of course, tawny ports you can keep forever. Awesome juice. That's what we had to drink at our Penfolds tasting down at Michael Mina Strip Steak with our good friend D. Lynn Proctor. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.